Because if you're going to sell booze and pizza, you have to make people happy. Otherwise, they won't drink booze and eat pizza. And to make people happy, you have to give them music that you think they'll like. And so you're just going to play it safe.
So do you think musicians are also catering to these venues and these?
That's the danger. That ultimately, that's what they get used to. Nothing's going to change that way.
So how did you meet all of these guys? Peter Cat, Lifafa.
I saw a band sound checking. I was like, okay. I didn't, And then after they sound checked, there was this music. Somebody was playing some music off of their laptop.
Yeah.
And it was really great music. And I went up to the soundboard, and there's this like skinny dude with big eyes, and I asked him, "Hey, what's this music?" And he goes, "Oh, it's a band called Tame Impala," and he walks away. And then some hours later, I see the same guy on stage, and it's Surikant. I don't listen to music on streaming platforms.
So how do you listen to music? I don't.
No, I do. I mean, I have a lot of music sent to me. I still download a lot of MP3s actually. I love hip hop very much.
What about Delhi, India?
Gauntlet.
Yeah, you like Gauntlet?
Yeah, I do. Hell yeah, I do.
Right.
But I wasn't there, so I can't comment on what happened.
It must be difficult curating events, no?
No, it's not. It's like going to the bathroom.
Okay.
It's the most natural thing. It's like part of my body. I just I derive tremendous satisfaction from doing it.
So how do you find artists? How do you usually go about that? What is it that you look for in an artist to get him to?
I don't know exactly what I look for. I don't know if I look for anything, but I feel it, and I guess I'm drawn to people who I feel, if they weren't making this music, they'd probably go nuts. I think that's what I hear. Like there's a certain urgency,
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what genre, and that doesn't matter. It's just probably a projection of myself and my I have a certain kind of what's the word? I like commitments, and I like commitments when they're not easy commitments to make and follow through. That speaks to me. So if I hear music where I feel somebody's committing to do something that they're not really sure what the outcome will be, but they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
That appeals to me. It just speaks to me.
I think when you already have thought about it, like what the outcome is going to be, I think it automatically corrupts the entire idea.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what the outcome is going to be, and I think that's the uncertainty that I'm drawn to. Yeah. But the fact you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. Doing it anyway without like knowing the outcome.
Yeah, and especially if it's kind of different. Sorry, I fucked. Should I not curse? I don't want to.
No. That's chill.
I fucked up my shoulder, man. So I'm gonna be squirming a bit. So bear with me.
What happened?
What actually was here? I left. I flew to Calcutta. I wasn't supposed to fly. I was supposed to take a train, but that call wasn't.
Calcutta from Delhi.
Yeah, from here.
Okay.
And so the last minute I had to book a flight, and I had this horrible layover in Varanasi for 3 hours. I think the flight was at 5 a.m. Yeah. I didn't really sleep the night before, and I didn't have a pillow, so my neck got fucked.
When was this?
It was like 2 weeks ago.
And it still hurts.
Yeah, maybe it's serious. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let alone I've been like traveling like a lunatic since I left here. I was like, I haven't stopped. I'm carrying all this stuff and shooting all the time. And
what are you shooting on?
Fucked. I don't know if I can talk about it in detail, but it's something I've been working towards for the past 5 years. It's
5 years.
Yeah. It's in Bengal. It's this culture of sound based on almost cartoonish levels of wattage, and just these PAs that are just like incredible, but also like absurd in how what's the word when you do something too much and you love it? Not gratuitous. There's another word. It's
obsessed.
Yeah, that's a word.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I was shooting that for the past 2 weeks in Bengal.
So you've been doing that for 5 years now?
No. I came across this guy on YouTube 5 years ago, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Who's that guy?
I can't say right now.
Okay.
Yeah, the film will come out in November.
Oh, so you're working on a film?
Yeah.
Right, with that guy?
Yeah, and I finally got to like live with him and his family, and I was really scared because I didn't think I wasn't sure he'd like me.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't sure if he'd give me like his time and his access, but he gave me so much, and we shot, and it was great.
Yeah.
Indulgent, that's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, indulgent.
What if
Terribly
he's-
indulgent.
Yeah. What if he's watching this right now?
I hope he does, because he's like a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible.
What does he do on YouTube? If you can.
Yeah, well, now he's kind of become this quasi-political commentator, but he basically just talks shit about everybody else and self-aggrandizes himself as being like the best,
Right. Sounds like a
which he kind of is.
Okay.
So it's fair enough.
Yeah. Sounds like a comedian.
A bit, yeah. He's kind of funny,
Yeah.
but it's more just the sonic warfare that he's overseeing. It's crazy.
Mhm.
I wish I could tell you more. I don't know when this is coming out, but I'm being a bit shush about it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of some of this stuff has gone viral recently. And when I told some peers and colleagues that I was going there, they're like, "Oh fuck, I want to come. And I was like, So I'm being a bit unlike me. I'm being a bit gatekeepery about it. I have to admit. But I just feel so strongly about this story that I want to make sure that it gets out in the way that I think it should.
So what does a music curator really do? What is the job like?
I don't know, but I don't know if there's a recipe for that. But I think somebody who is in a position to present creative outputs to a public, in my opinion, for what it's worth, should strive to challenge an audience.
Yeah.
And maybe confuse them a bit. I think it's important.
Confusing the audience.
Yeah. I don't think like playing for the audience is going to do much. Again, these are just opinions. I'm more interested in change and perceptions being enriched, which sounds very, it's not like I know better.
Yeah.
But I have an outlook. I look at things a certain way. And if I hear things that excite me, that I think could maybe challenge those perceptions of what this could be, I'm drawn to it. And I think I have a role to play that no one's asked me to do.
Yeah.
But that I find
it's not part of your job profile.
Well, it is now.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
Yeah.
Professionally.
So, tell me a little about the ethos of Reproduce. Do you think it's like a projection of you?
Yeah, I think it is.
Did you intend it to be?
Well, it came from a film. It came from wanting to make a film. It came from wanting to make a film about Charanjit Singh.
Yeah.
It was a very simple solution that I found.
So that was the first project you worked on?
Yes and no.
The first.
There's a longer story, which is it's online, and I don't want to bore your viewers, but it comes from a band from Atlanta, Georgia, called the Black Lips.
The Black Lips.
Yeah, that I wanted to bring to India in 2008.
All right.
Yeah, as a kind of an exercise in seeing if I could find a way to find this corporate money that was flooding India at the time and route it to something that usually would never happen.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't really work with sponsors, but at that point, it was all about that. But it was more an outcome of my PhD research. Also, it was just an exercise premised on that.
What did you research on?
I was looking at the organization also, but the regulation of genetically modified organisms in India and farmers' rights and things like that. But it was basically about risk.
It was about risk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Risk of?
Well, when you have a technology that has uncertain consequences when you release it to a market.
A specific technology?
Yeah, like GM crops, or like nanotechnology, or like cell phones, or like vaccines. Or there's multiple examples of these things where you don't know what's going to happen, but there's a greater good, or maybe there's a greater kind of intended outcome. But then how does a government regulate those things? So I was interested in that.
So when did you start Reproduce?
April 2013.
April 2013. Did you intend it to be what it is today?
Yeah, but it was different then. It was 12 artists. I had a roster. That was like an agency.
Yeah.
It's different.
So what did you have in mind when you started?
I wanted to challenge perceptions globally of what South Asian pop culture could be.
How did you do that?
I got it from Charanjit. I mean, basically what happened is that in order to make the film I wanted to make about Charanjit, somebody had to take on his booking and management. So I did.
Yeah.
And when I did that, and when we were touring in Europe and in the US and elsewhere, I was fielding a lot of questions from people who were asking me about what's happening in India with contemporary music.
Your friends?
No, just people in Europe, like people in like the booking circuit, and because suddenly I was working with PR companies and the whole machine of a music industry, which is a new thing for me. And they're all asking me similar questions. And then I realized that most of my friends play really interesting music in India.
Yeah.
And not just my friends, but like I'm kind of aware of lots of really interesting music in India. And because I had this, I suppose, somewhat unique capacity to book Indian talent outside of India, I decided that would be my focus. So yeah, April 2013. And for the first 2013, 14, 15, for those 3 years, that's all I did. I focused on booking the talent that I had on a roster to international markets.
But you met Charanjit Singh in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that happen?
I was with my friend Samrat in Delhi. He goes by Audio Pervert. And he played me that record. And I was just flabbergasted. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? What is this music? And then
without knowing the history.
I had no idea. Yeah. And Samrat being Samrat, he was like, just listen to this. And so I did. And then he told me the story, and I was like, what the hell is going on?
And so then you decided to go to Bombay?
Yeah. So there was a music conference. It was like early days of OML. And this guy, Vijay Nair.
Early days of OML?
OML was in the early 2010s, was a company that started a festival called NH7.
NH7?
Yeah. NH7 is a big music festival. I don't think it happens anymore.
It does. NH7 Weekender.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So yeah, among other things, then All India Bakchot, they had a few things. Verticals. They're pretty big, and they got investors, and they started scaling up pretty quickly. But at that time in 2010, it was Vijay Nair, and he wanted to, and others, and he had this parallel conference for music called the Unconference. And so me and Samrat went, not with any intention of meeting Charanjit, but then I remembered about Charanjit.
So you saw him there and you were
so Samrat had his number. Because Samrat was making a book. He just released a book called Hub.
Yeah. I saw that in the video.
Yeah. And there was a chapter on Charanjit. And over the course of doing that research, he acquired Charanjit's number, but I don't think he ever spoke to him. I thought that was really strange. So when I was in Bombay, I was like, hey, man, did you say you had his number? He's like, yeah. And so I was like, should we go and visit him? And he's like, yeah. So I called him.
And then he was like,
well, I don't know
was he welcoming?
Yeah, I think he was more just kind of like, at that time, perplexed that like this record he made in '82 was like leading to these two guys who doesn't know coming to his house being like, oh my god. Yeah, he's very open.
I think it was very unexpected for him. Like he wasn't expecting.
At that time, it still was.
And then he picked up music after that?
Charanjit?
Yeah.
No, man, he'd been making music as a session guy from the 70s.
No, but then I think Saregama Records or some label...
EMI at the time, yeah.
Yeah. They, I think, remastered the entire album and...
No. So that was a Dutch guy, Edo Bouwman, who remastered and reissued the... Well, the remastering happened through a guy named Johannes Westerman in Holland, who... Yeah. And then this other guy in Belgium, I think, he digitized an original vinyl copy and took out every single click and pop of a vinyl record. Like some guy, I don't know who this guy is.
So how did Charanjit Singh get in contact with these people?
He didn't. I mean, EMI had the rights.
Okay. Yeah. So.
But Edo met Charanjit in 2001 or something. It was a long time project for Edo. It took a while.
You've been all over the country, I think.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, to a degree.
So what do you like about this place, India in general?
What I like about India?
Yeah.
Well, professionally, I just find it a really interesting landscape to consider how technology, pop culture, and identity meet in the context of music. I think there's a sixth of humanity who lives around here, and it's inevitable that something is going to happen, I feel, with regards to how the internet offers a distribution platform for people to make and create and share music. And out of that, of course, becomes this arena for an audience to form, for taste to change, and it's fascinating to me. It's yeah.
So was coming to India your own decision, or was
Yeah, I came in 2001 professionally with the UN. I was
with the
working,
UN?
Yeah, I was working with a guy from the Planning Commission.
Then
I did that for 6 months, and then I realized that the UN's a bit shady, and that I'm also a bit shady, because I was looking at, it was all math. I was finishing my master's degree, and it was all a mathematical modeling
okay.
exercise. And I was in West Delhi at this place called the Pusa Institute a lot, getting data.
Where did you do your master's from?
Concordia in Montreal, in Canada.
Okay. And then you came to Delhi?
Yeah, I came to Delhi to do this gig. But at the end of it, I felt at least that I was gathering data for this model, but I hadn't spent any time in a farm, because I was looking at farmer use data. And I was like, this is a bit of a fraudulent exercise, and I should probably spend some time in a farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did after. Then I came back.
To Canada?
Jharkhand. I was in Jharkhand for 6 months.
What were you doing there?
I was living in this village.
Doing what?
Hanging out with farmers and trying to understand exactly that, which I wasn't doing over the course of my graduate research.
So how were you handling all of this with your master's degree?
This is after my master's. So I just wanted to do more research. I was, it was a big part of my life at the time. And perhaps it still is in a way. Research at least. And yeah, I just wanted to spend some time on the ground understanding these kind of choices that farmers were making. So I did.
Did you ever think that maybe you could market Reproduce as a label, or wanted to make Reproduce a label, music label?
Yeah, I've had this question asked me many times informally. Of course. But to me, a label needs to have a very strong revenue model. And I think starting a Bandcamp page to me isn't very interesting. It doesn't really offer much apart from like a vanity project. But I think publishing and really looking at the IP of music is something that would, if done right, generate revenues. So again, I don't want to talk about this. It's a work in progress, but yeah. I mean, that way a label makes sense. But just a label by a label, I don't know. Maybe I should have. I don't know. It's hard to be a musician, so I'd rather think more about the money side of things. I'm going to do that.
So what do you think of the live music culture in India? Do you think it's getting better? Do you think it's worsening? What do you think about
You mean
that?
as we know it? Like at places like Oro and Summer House and that kind of stuff? Bonobo and Bombay? It's tough. I respect venues who have the balls to do that. It's a lot of risk. Pay the bills. You've got to ensure that you sell booze and pizza. I've been out. I've been to a bunch of gigs over the years, obviously. But I think at the same time, that's kind of why I decided to start doing my own gigs, or at least gigs in the way that I wanted to do them.
You started doing your own gigs because you didn't want.
I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
When I was seeing these venues. No disrespect. I mean, it's really hard.
So what is it that you? Why is it that you don't want to do?
Because if you're going to sell booze and pizza, you have to make people happy. Otherwise, they won't drink booze and eat pizza. And to make people happy, you have to give them music that you think they'll like, and so you're just going to play it safe.
So do you think musicians are also catering to these venues and these?
That's the danger. That ultimately, that's what they get used to. Nothing's going to change that way.
I think that's started to happen, at least in Delhi.
I don't know. I mean, it's also not my business. Like if an artist is, if he or she is content and feeling challenged and feeling like they're doing the right thing, then great.
Because even when I go to places like Oro or maybe Mic Drop, all these places, I see most of the hip hop events which are happening over there. There's like a backing track playing, and there's just an artist who is singing over those tracks, right? Which is something I don't.
It's scary out there.
That's
if you're an artist, can you imagine like you're an artist and you're in front of a crowd? It's kind of scary.
But as an audience, I don't think I pay to watch
That's
that.
there.
Yeah.
But then it's up to the artist also, or if not the artist, maybe
Like if
the person in between. He's like, maybe you shouldn't use the backing track. You
the
know,
person in between, what do you mean?
well, a curator.
Even no, I still think that if I would be a curator, I'd still say that I don't think any artist should be doing that.
That's what I'm saying. Is that maybe that's what a curator's role is to encourage an artist to not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to dictate terms that way.
Of course.
I produce the events, but I don't direct the artists.
Yeah.
That's kind of film-ish language. But yeah, I don't want to do that. But I would like to ensure that there's a space where artists feel comfortable in taking those risks and maybe not having a backing track,
Yeah. But I still think that places like, have you been to Studio XO in Gurgaon? Have you been to Gurgaon?
Dude, no, I haven't. I'm so out of touch. I've lived in Delhi since 2021, and I don't know what's going on.
Places.
Oh, I think I saw Peter Cat there once.
Yeah. In 2022, I was there too.
22?
20.
I don't remember. 21. I feel
22.
Like. Maybe 20 even.
No.
There was a taping for this series called The Creative Indians, and the directors shot that show.
Oh no.
So I feel like it's 2021.
I don't know about that.
It's in Aero City.
Not Aero City. Studio XO is in Gurgaon.
Okay, then I haven't been probably.
So yeah, my point is places like Studio XO and Piano Man, all these places.
Yeah.
They're trying to. Have you been to Piano Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So I just think that these places, they're like a safe haven for music lovers. Do you think there's like a visible gap between the rich and the poor? Like, for example, if I see a homeless man in Europe or let's say in the US, I know it's not like he's a beggar. He's not begging, but he's just homeless. But if you see a homeless man in India, he's definitely a beggar, right?
Without a home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just feel like the gap is very visible here. Like it's very clearly understood.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think of that, like from an economist's perspective?
I think it's access to credit. It's hard for a number of people to get credit. This is something that basically is at the core of when I was looking at farmers in Maharashtra over the course of my PhD. Was like, there's this whole debate around farmer suicides, farmers killing themselves, and a lot of people were pegging the blame on these GM seeds, BT cotton. This is like 2007, 8, 9 when I was doing my research, and it was quite sensationalized. It's a very sexy topic to look at that. Monsanto, evil corporation, comes to India, sells these suicide seeds. Farmers are like drinking pesticide. Not so simple. At the core of that was essentially just access to credit, and it's difficult.
Credit from banks, like
from loan institutions, because most of them are borrowing money from seed sellers who are loan sharks. I mean, they're just informal credit sources.
Yeah.
So yeah, formalized credit. It's difficult. Not a lot of collateral that a farmer has. So banks, perhaps understandably, are a bit reluctant to lend money. So, yeah.
But I still feel like there's an entire system built for that. Like there are SHGs, there are the farmers, and there's the informal sector also, but that's not very reliable.
Yeah, there are. But I mean, again, it comes down to like the entire dynamics of access to that credit, which isn't just, collateral. It's also class and caste and connections and other informal negotiations. So it's never that straightforward. I've had this conversation a lot with a friend of mine who become very heated conversations. I often felt that like one of the interesting things that smartphones have offered India, let's say, is a way to formalize the informal labor sector by way of Swiggy drivers or Zomato drivers or Uber drivers or urban company staff. My friend hates this idea.
I do too.
Right. But I think there's at least some accountability from a third party as opposed to going to like a labor pool at 6 a.m. and just picking people, paying them God knows how much, often very little. There's no real kind of mediation to ensure that they have rights. So it's changing. I don't know if necessarily credit in that context. I'm talking about rural farming and credit, but in that context of the urban poor, if you want to call them that, it's a term. There's certainly kind of a change in doing things. The conversation with my friend is essentially that he hates that shit, much in the same way that you seem to. So why do you hate it?
I just feel that it isn't helping the cause, you know.
Like, I'm not saying for a moment that it's going to make people rich, but I do think it offers a certain kind of level of accountability that was
security somewhat, but it's just like, I think it's a herd battle then.
What do you mean?
know, like getting so many people who are working for, let's say, Swiggy or Blinkit, Zomato, whatever, right? Getting all of these delivery guys together, it's just creating a new form of
wage slavery.
Yeah,
sure. I mean, that's there, but I think all employment's wage slavery. So I don't know.
Yeah, but again, it's not helping the cause, right?
I think if anything, it might kind of instill an entrepreneurial kind of zeal, which I think a lot of it is a skill sets about being aware of, like, you know, what can happen with these kind of systems and understanding the systems themselves, and then imagining, oh, but I can do something similar, you know, I feel. But sadly, there's also, it still comes down to, like, there's a lot of been really interesting kind of advances. I mean, in many ways, India is miles ahead of the rest of the world when it comes to banking and just UPI. I mean, you realize that BharatPe is, like, unique to India, and just the fact that you can use your phone and just, like, pay for everything. And I mean, it's such a unique landscape. I don't know if there's, like, a simple answer to your question about why are people rich and why are people poor and what to do about it. I think a lot of it's also just, like, kind of like outlooks on the future and whether or not one has their own agency to dictate their own future, or if there's notions of destiny that underpin future outcomes, and then depending. Not to simplify things, but I think a lot of this does come down to, like, a way of looking at uncertainty and risk, actually. How to estimate a future and whether or not it's entirely up to you or not.
But do you think it is?
My personal opinion? Yeah, of course. But that's me. It's also my own social upbringing in my own society and the way I look at the world. So
yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I don't think it is for a lot of people, though. Yeah. So how did you meet all of these guys? Peter Cat, Lifafa. Was Surya a friend?
Yeah, it was 2011, I guess, and there used to be a gentleman named Rohan who played bass in that band, and he was also kind of the de facto manager, hustler, organizer.
Okay, so he's not part of the band anymore.
He's not anymore. But he used to organize these events in Chhatarpur and other places. I think it was Holi 2011. So I went. I think it was maybe the first time I saw Peter Cat, actually.
Okay.
Maybe.
So you didn't know about them before?
No, my friend Samrat was also playing, so I went with him. Same audio pervert guy.
Yeah.
He had a project called Teddy Boy Kill with a guy named Usher.
So he was on the lineup.
In the lineup, and I went, and I saw a band sound checking. I was like, okay, I didn't, and then after they sound check, there was this music. Somebody was playing some music off of their laptop.
Yeah.
And it was really great music. And I went up to the soundboard, and there's this, like, skinny dude with big eyes, and I asked him, "Hey, what's this music?" And he goes, "Oh, it's a band called Tame Impala," and he walks away. And then some hours later, I see the same guy on stage, and it's Surikant. And then I don't know, like, the next time I met him, I feel like was at a place that used to be called TLR in Hoskaz Village. I rarely would go there, but I went there. I was there as something with a friend of mine. We wanted a beer, so we went there, and there he was, and he was, like, hyper gregarious, and we ended up at his place.
Yeah.
And then I don't know.
So you just met him over there?
Yeah, I don't know how.
Like you bumped into him?
Kinda, yeah, but he seemed to know me. I might be forgetting things, but I don't know why or how. Maybe through a mutual friend, Palash. I don't know. And then I don't know what happened. At some point, he came to my house with a bunch of music,
Mm-hmm.
and he played it for me, and I was just kind of stunned. It was a lot of it was an album called Wall of Want, this
I've
Peter
heard
Cat
that.
record.
Yeah.
Which is to this day my favorite thing. Well, again, personal opinions, and also some early, I guess, what Lifafa was about to be, or I mixed their demos, I guess, and he played them, and I was just like, I mean, I knew like this is crazy. This is gonna change everything.
Yeah. So what were they doing before all these albums came out, which we see on the streaming platforms these days?
Oh, they were a band. They were gigging. They were playing. They were putting out music.
But what music?
Well, there's an album called Cinema. There's an album called Climax. There's an album called Wall of Want.
Why did they scrap them?
You'll have to ask them. I can't really speak for them, but I think that in 2000, gosh, I don't know, 17, 18, a French label approached them and was very interested in knowing more about what they were doing, and I think they kind of saw it as an opportunity to take a fresh start.
Yeah.
So I think their past was kind of like their past, but they're looking towards like what they can do now.
Yeah.
Again, my estimation.
Was he also involved in Reproduce?
Yeah, there were 12 artists, and so yeah.
So he was one of them?
Yeah. Peter Cat was, Lifafa was, John Blue, Charanjit, a rapper named Himanshu Suri, Heems, Ravana, Toy Mob. Yeah, a few people.
And where are these people now?
Well, Charanjit's passed away. Peter Cat, Suri Cat, Lifafa.
Oh, Charanjit Singh was part of the roster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Himanshu, Heems, he just put a record. They're all doing their thing.
So you also went to US with them?
Charanjit? Yeah.
I saw that video. That was crazy.
Yeah.
He was playing in. But that's right. Someone also said in the video that something like people don't value his music how they do in the US. Do you think that's
I think it's changing.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's changed a lot over the past few years, actually.
Do you think rock music is dying in India? Or do you think?
I think it's dying all over the world. I think it's a hard sell, but at the same time, there's nothing like a band. It's a hard sell because it's so much easier to plug in a sound card or a DJ console.
Yeah, it's different.
And as a venue, you get the same effect of selling beer and pizza.
Yeah.
So what do you care? Well, depending, but yeah.
Do you think artists really look at it like that?
Artists don't. No, I don't think so. Well, it depends also because artists want to make money. Of course, they should. And they might see that, oh, fuck, I can just be a DJ and make like 30K. Why am I like splitting 15K, 10K with 5 people?
Yeah.
Bringing my drum kit. Why am I doing this? So sure, but that's just economics. That's the finance of it. It's vernacular. Yeah, it's language, number one. It's Hindi, let's say. Let's see them like with examples I can give you, which you're aware of. But it's also just, I do think production-wise, it's a lot more. It's an easier workflow.
Yeah. It's much easier.
Which is a good thing in a way. I mean, the creativity remains. But production-wise, it's a lot easier to scale, so to speak. Excuse me.
Yeah. So most of the artists you had on the roster were hip-hop artists?
No, they're electronic music producers. Yeah.
And what were they making back then?
A variety of things. I mean, it was all different, but I think they were all quite committed to doing something a bit different.
Were you fixated on artists being experimental?
Yeah, that word is a weird one. I think it's more just sincerity. Being sincere about presenting something that you will do without compromise. If that is tantamount to experimental music, then okay. But I don't know if it is or not.
So that is completely unrelated to any sort of genre.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And then how did it progress from that roster? What did you do after that?
Well, to be very honest with you, I realized after 3 years of doing that I would be a fool and be lying to myself and most important to the artists if artists suggested I can manage 12 artists.
Yeah.
Not that I was managed. I've only ever managed one artist. It was Charanjit. There's been some confusion about my role with other people and so on, but I can say that. But if not managing 12 artists, just really looking after them and their needs. which is also my role. I felt that I couldn't sustain that and be good at what I do. I also didn't want to be exclusive with them.
You didn't want to be?
Did not want to. I find that, I mean, I make things, you know, and I make things and I get it. If somebody comes along with a deal and I want to bolt, I want to have that freedom. And I respect that. So I was more like a broker. I was more like somebody who would, if opportunities came my way, I would share them and I would, you know, address certain details of logistics and negotiations and financing and contracts and those kinds of things. But that was a role that I could play. But at the end of the day, I came to realize that actually I think there's a greater opportunity, which is rather than like managing or claiming to manage, not that I did, or appearing to manage a number of people or having a qualified roster of 12 artists, it'd be much better to work with anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
I just open it up.
Yeah.
Use the same kind of like intention, but just open it up totally and free myself and free the artist of any kind of expectations and just do it for the sake of maybe affecting change in a different way. I mean, I've always been really drawn to that, you know, just...
For change?
Yeah.
Do you think that's your primary intention, to make or even curate music?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it is. Just
to bring change.
Yeah, it's like it suits me. It suits my time allocation and what I decide to do with my time, and if it's worth it or not. If I'm going to do anything, it may as well affect others, you know. Right.
So what is change for you? Like you said, you're always looking for change, right?
What is change for me? Sorry, what is change for me?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Like, what is your definition of change?
I think when people feel comfortable in taking risks artistically that they wouldn't before, and presenting it to a public and having a room of people who are like, oh, fuck, that's also me. I'm the same way. I'm also doing this shit. I didn't know there was somebody else like that. And then they do it themselves, either with me or themselves, I don't know. And then they find an audience. And then suddenly the audience starts to change their perceptions of what contemporary music can be. And then it just changes that whole gradient of what people are listening to.
So changing perspective.
Yeah, because I think for the most part, post-independence in India, when it comes to culture, it's played it pretty straight. Probably because of the film industry and the nature of Bollywood and its all-pervasive kind of reach, because of distribution, at least historically, post-40.
What do you mean?
Well, just theaters.
Like, how does Bollywood influence that?
Well, because if you're a creative person, you want to make stuff, maybe you want to make films, maybe you want to make music, maybe you want to choreograph, maybe you want to do set design, maybe you want to do makeup.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you want to make money doing it, you're going to work for the film industry, historically.
Yeah.
Right? Or the ad agencies, to be sure, which are all not so far off. But all this stuff is it's the lowest common denominator. It's not pushing any boundaries. It's not challenging any perceptions, in my view. It's an opinion that I have.
I don't think it is either. Yeah.
Right? So where else could you find evidence of a group of people who are maybe trying to do that? I think a lot of people want to do that, but there hasn't been a lot of support to do that.
I think art in general, not just music, art like even dance, I think.
Yeah, sure. Any creative output. I think this industry, the film industry, has kind of hijacked that for many years. I do think it's changing, though.
Bollywood or the film industry in general?
I think what's changing is the fact that that's no longer the de facto arena to present creative work. Maybe hasn't been for a while. It's the internet. I mean, keep in mind, the internet kind of just overnight in India in the late 2000s just kind of... I mean, there's two phases, I guess. The first is broadband in the late 2000s. And then by 2016, 17, 18, Geo, 4G, you know, and suddenly that broadband access being in rural India and smaller cities everywhere. And it's very unique globally. It's also, India is still the cheapest per megabyte data rates in the world. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
By a long shot. Nowhere in the world is the internet as cheap as it is in India. Just some 700 million smartphones in this country.
Do you think streaming platforms, do you think that's beneficial for artists?
No. Yes and no. I don't listen to music on streaming platforms.
So how do you listen to music? I don't.
No, I do. I mean, I have a lot of music sent to me. I still download a lot of MP3s actually. That's all I have on my phone, just MP3s.
Is that an iPhone?
Yeah.
How do you have MP3 files on it? How do you download MP3 files? YouTube to MP3?
Yeah, no, I use it's been around since like Napster days. It's called SoulSeek.
SoulSeek.
Yeah. It's like a file sharing platform. It hasn't changed since 2001.
Like SOUL Seek.
Yeah,
SEEK.
That's right, yeah.
SoulSeek.
You can find everything. It's just great to dig. Like you just find stuff like what the fuck, what the hell is this? Like what am I listening to?
So is it like Spotify? Is it like Spotify?
No, it's MP3s. So
you
download MP3s.
You download MP3 and then you listen to it.
Yeah, like I mean on my phone I'll show you. Like I just have the music app, but it's all MP3s.
This is crazy, bro. I always wanted to do this.
Yeah, it's all just
right.
records.
So, this is right.
Don't
so
look at that. Yeah. But yeah. No, in the sense it's the new Peter Gadd record. But
this is the entire album.
Yeah, because I'm doing this. I'm making some. Anyway, yes, doesn't matter. But yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
No, I don't. But I don't. Streaming is good though in a way because it allows other people to realize, oh, you have 1 million plays. But it's also bad in a way because you have 5 plays. Fuck you.
Yeah.
So it's but I guess as an artist, like at least you have again a distribution platform that's centralized but still is easily accessible by the rest of the world.
But there are a number of downloads also.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like I said, I download music. I'm the worst person. I don't have Spotify on my phone. I don't use it.
Right.
So I don't know.
So was it like you were influenced by your family into this?
Music
in general, yeah. Art?
Music, no. Cameras, yes.
Filmmaking?
Yeah, kind of by accident. My father was an avid hobby photographer, and he had an 8mm film camera that we would watch as a child when we were all children, my sister and I. And I think it left a deep impact on me, just in terms of what that thing was.
So when was the first time you picked up the camera?
It's 12.
And then you just didn't stop.
I just stopped for a while. But yeah.
The film you said you're working on.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
No.
No, not at all.
Nah. I mean, what can I tell you? It's about this guy who makes this like, he's like a sonic terrorist and he's a total character. But yeah, I mean, I'm again similar, like visionary. Just this guy who's just like, fuck everything else, man. This is what I'm doing. Those kind of people, they're rare. Pop
culture, hip hop, and
I think it's all kind of watered down trap beats and triplets. It's all post Migos triplets. I'm not the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm the intended audience. I love hip hop very much.
What about Delhi, India?
Gauntlet.
That's
amazing.
Yeah, you like Gauntlet?
Yeah, I do. Hell yeah, I do. I don't know what it is.
Whatever it is,
some of this
fun.
is crazy. Like it's
fun.
Just bananas. Like,
yeah,
it's insane.
And like
he's like 19, 18. I don't know.
Yeah.
Great.
I see. Yeah.
I'm a fan.
What do you think about the entire disc culture?
Oh, I don't know. It just creates.
Are you following?
No, I just stay out of all this stuff. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with me.
But you don't even listen to it?
No. I'm busy.
Yeah. But what do you think of it?
Didn't Seedhe Maut put up this like track 3 days ago called was it Glass Window in English?
Yeah, Kaanch Ke Ghar.
That's the one, yeah?
Yeah.
Or Glass House, yeah. Where basically it has this sample of like Mo at the end, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it'll get hits. Good.
It will, yeah. But I don't see a need to do that, at least for them.
No, it'll get hits. It'll get plays.
It's not like they don't have that already.
I don't know. It's not my. I don't know. Like this is just my. A friend of mine passed it on to me just this morning, and I was listening to it. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you like Hindi music?
Do
you prefer Hindi music over English?
I don't know if I have a preference. Like, again, it just depends what comes my way and what I hear and what I'm drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point being a guy like Gauntlet.
You like Gauntlet, yeah. What about DHH?
Yeah. Again, like, you know, I just find a lot of the I still am drawn to production, and I like cadence and wordflow. MC Code, like I can rap.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of stuff. He did stuff with Chaar Diwaari. It's this one track.
Yeah.
Incredible. Good example of another guy that, like, you know, wow. I remember I don't know how I came across Garbs. I think it was just on Instagram. I saw a video, one of the first video he made, where I think it's shot in like Lonavala or somewhere. He used to go to school at that place.
Pune, yeah. Music school.
Yeah, not Pune. It's between. It's like
somewhere in Maharashtra.
Yeah,
Nagpur.
No, it's not that far.
What's the
area called? I forget. Name escapes me.
Same.
Anyway, this video I saw, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it was just so perfectly executed. So
I think Rang.
Yeah, I think you're right. Terribly exciting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think you should get Gauntlet on replays.
I've been trying to. So we had an event here a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I called. I think his name is. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I don't know if he wants his name to be revealed. But I spoke to Gauntlet and I was like, hey.
Yeah.
And maybe cut that out. I don't know how secretive he is about these things.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But he was out of town, sadly. Yeah, I've been trying to for a while.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah, I want to.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you want to conclude by saying something? Do you want to give anything?
Oh boy, I'm sorry I'm being a bit vague, but there's certain things that I don't want to talk about because I don't want to talk about them until they're real.
Yeah.
But I'm working towards a few things. But it's the same sentiment, maybe just amongst a wider network of artists who aren't just in India, but maybe are of Indian heritage. And the same kind of things apply. I don't think there's a lot of encouragement to take risks artistically in South Asian culture. I think it's ironic because music is so central to the South Asian identity. Classical music.
Yeah.
Just songs that we all remember. Muhammad Rafi. I mean, there's so many examples.
I think that's just because we are Indians, I think.
Well, I think it's, again, the film industry. There's many reasons, but ironically, the irony is that, heaven forbid, if you as a child want to make music, it's very rare that your parents will be like incredibly supportive of that idea.
That's true. Yeah.
So, which to be sure applies globally to anybody. It's not just India, but I do think in particular, you know, and maybe as a consequence of what we were saying earlier about poverty and inequality, parents would want their children to have sustainable livelihoods, which is very fair because of their own experience post-partition and memories of that.
Do you have any stories, or do your parents also have some stories?
Sure. My father passed away 2 years ago, but he had Parkinson's, which is a really fucking brutal disease. So I knew that, you know, things were going to change. So I spent a lot of time with my father over the years. I mean, you know, obviously not that it was new. We were all very close, but I certainly made an effort to speak to my father in great detail towards the end of his life, the last 10 years, about a number of things. And one of the conversations was in 47, he was 9 years old, and what he remembers, he grew up in Howrah. Howrah is across the Hooghly River. Yeah. More working class part of the city. And he remembers him and his 9 siblings, his brothers in particular, basically arming the rooftop with stones to keep away looters because of what was happening at that time. And he was 9, you know, so sure. That's a far longer conversation, but yeah.
Do you want to say something to conclude? Anything?
I suppose if there's any kind of outcome that I would like to see or would cherish from whatever it is that we've been doing with Reproduce, it is that people feel they're not alone.
Not alone?
Yeah, in wanting to like make things that don't seem to fit. And if that's the case, then I think it's been successful. And I can say that over the years, I've been very fortunate to have had conversations with people who we've showcased who have told me that, you know, that changed their lives. And that sounds crazy to me. I mean, crazy because it's I don't take that lightly, but I think that they've maybe found something within themselves, and maybe we had something to do with it, maybe not, I don't know. I do think that performing live to the audience, as I was saying earlier, is terrifying. And so if I can play any role where I create an environment where it's comfortable,
For the artist?
yes, then that's very powerful and something that I'm very proud of.
I think you do. Yeah.
So, yeah, I just I also just like going to gigs I like, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
A big reason I produce these gigs is because I want to go to gigs that I'm like invested in, not like professionally necessarily, but more like I want to be there.
Yeah. You do it for yourself?
I kind of do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the last gig you attended? Not
Upstairs.
What do you mean?
It was here. It was fucking here.
Okay.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago. It's great.
Who's playing?
Oh gosh, there was like Pale Blue Daughter. There was Damru, who's inside.
Right.
There was Darzi. You know Darzi?
Darcy, yeah.
Yeah. There was there was like 8 artists. It was a bit crazy, but it was great.
There's a studio upstairs?
No, just a rooftop.
Oh.
And outside here on the front, we had 2 stages.
Yeah.
I've always felt that Delhi has the talent and the vision. Oh, I think my momos have come. Maybe we should conclude it.
Yeah.